me, Nesser! Hey, it's me, Nesser. Welcome to Nesser Pod. This is where I dive a little deeper into some of my guests' lives. Sometimes we dive a little too deep, other times we stay on the surface vibing. Either way, come along on this journey. I hope you enjoy this episode.
So the reason, I don't know if this is racism, but the reason I wanted you, because I've never seen like a white DJ at a black club or a black party, so I was just like, oh cool, who is that? Let me see what the crack is. And you weren't like, I don't think people were like giving out about the hour or whatever, so I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, music is 30, and then the other guy came on, I wasn't really too impressed with him, so I was like, cool. Followed ya, found out that you play football as well, so I was just like, I want to see what the crack is.
Yeah.
And since doing a bit of research, you have a pretty amazing story. I think one of the reasons why I'm excited and nervous for this is because I relate to your story a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's going to be an emotional conversation.
Hopefully.
And I don't know, man said hopefully. So I don't know where that's going to go, but I'm excited anyway. So thanks for choosing to come through. But might as well start from the beginning. Like, so you've been playing football at a pretty elite level for quite some time.
Yeah. I started playing locally when I was like 4 or 5 with Swords, and then I played for Malahide and Home Farm, and then I ended up at Shells, and from Shells under probably about 14s, 15s, I started getting a bit of a name for myself, and I got called into 1 or 2 Ireland teams and stuff, and then obviously at that age, 14, 15, kind of the English clubs start to circle if you're doing well. So I ended up on a couple of trials and went to Tottenham, Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Celtic, Derby, a couple of other ones.
When you started playing football, was the goal to go the whole way, or was it something that you just kind of stumbled upon?
I always wanted to play football from an early age. Like I always remember kicking the ball. Like my dad said, like I was kicking the ball around from the age of like 1.5, 2.
Yeah.
So it was all I kind of really known. And back then, like people don't know as much about the game professionally as they do now. So like when I was getting to like 12, 13, like I always knew I wanted to kind of keep playing, but I didn't really know how it worked, or nobody kind of knew around then how it worked. So
it's like emerging talent squads and like what's the one in Limerick?
Emerging talent.
For girls, it's like Gaynor Cup. What's the equivalent?
I can't even remember. I actually didn't get called into that. I actually didn't actually become very good until I was probably about 14. So I got looked over for that. I actually got called into an Ireland team before I ever got called into emerging talent.
That's quite unusual.
Very unusual. I think.
How did you figure it out? Like,
I don't really know. Like I played a cup final. And did really, really well in the cup final. We lost actually 1-0, but I played really well, and 2 of the lads off the other team, Sam Byrne and Dylan Hayes, they both were in the emerging talent and playing for Ireland at the time, and I had a really good game against both of them, and then I got called into an Ireland game that was 2 weeks later. And then after I'd already played for Ireland, then I was called into emerging talent.
That's really, 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 really unusual.
Yeah, very unusual.
At what age was that? 15?
I think, under 14s, I think, because it was at the end of the year, so I was going into 15s then.
What type of person were you at the time? Were you like were you one of those players that were like all driving stuff, or were you just enjoying the game at that stage?
I think like I was as a person, I was kind of a bit timid and I've always been very confident and very sure of myself, but I think like I would have been a bit timid, but once I stepped on the pitch, like I kind of always wanted to take control, and I always knew I was a very good player, so it was more about just trying to make sure I always kind of like showed that whenever I stepped on the pitch.
Was there any like apprehension to you playing, because that kind of growth at a very like quick stage is one, it's unusual, but like at a young age as well? Like how did your parents think about what they think about that? What did your coaches think about that? Do you think it was a good idea at the time, or?
I think it's always a good idea, but obviously hindsight is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, there would have been things, because of what I know now, there would have been things I would have maybe done differently, but
What would you have done differently?
Just certain situations and maybe decisions that me and my dad kind of made. But then at the same time, we didn't really know anything.
Yeah,
so
you did the best with the information you had.
we kind of made the best decision that we could from what we knew, and from advice kind of given to us. But in hindsight now, there's certain things that maybe would have done differently, or maybe decisions I would have made differently. But look, like I said, hindsight is a great thing.
Did the politics of the game affect how you played it at that age, or did politics come a bit later?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of politics in schoolboy football. Dublin is not bad. Down the country, it's mental.
Yeah.
But Dublin still. I think what helped me at underage football anyway was I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't really kind of kick on and really start to do well until maybe the end of under 14, start of under 15. So I think kind of going under the radar a little bit kind of took the pressure away from me.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple of lads that I know that would have, I'm after remembering now, Kennedy Cup.
Yeah, Kennedy Cup, that's it.
So there was a lot of lads that played in that Kennedy Cup team. Yeah. I'd say 85% of them aren't playing football anymore. And
it's hard because I think of like if I was to have kids, like what would I do with them? Do you know? And I'm having conversations at work with like a woman whose son is quite good, but he's just kind of chill. She doesn't want to push him because she's seeing how the kids are changing the second they get power. Like, we're crazy people, humans. So we are, even from a young age. But like, I think myself, I had a completely different journey to that. Like, I was very talented from a very young age, and what you're saying is like that there's different fundamentals that you learn when you have to try versus when everything comes a bit easier to you. And I feel like for me, sometimes I wish I wasn't as good as I was at such a young age, because it gets into your head. You think you're the bee's knees. Everyone's telling you can, even if people don't tell you, you know what you can do. Like, there's like at a stage in my life I thought I could walk on any team in the country, like, you know. And it's like, then when hard work comes later in life, you don't really know how to deal with that. Yeah. But it seems like for you were working hard, and that just kind of paid off at a really fast pace.
I think like what you said there about believing that you can step into any team in the country and play, I think for me personally, that's always been a massive part of why I think I've done well, is because when I step out onto the pitch, like, I don't think anybody is ever better than me. When I walk out onto the pitch, I think I'm the best player on the pitch. And then when you take that pressure away of looking up to opposition, or like looking up to people on your team and thinking, oh, they're so good. Like, I think you play with more freedom then. And I've always been kind of that person. Like, maybe it's a bit of stubbornness, or maybe it's a bit of cockiness maybe, but I think you have to be like that in a competitive environment. I think, like, personally, I think when you see these players and people are like, oh, they're so humble and this, that and the other, they know they're good. Like, it's fake humbleness, like, you know what I mean? Because they wouldn't be at that level if they didn't have the drive and the full belief in themselves that they can play.
But humility, though, is it that you don't believe that you're not good? It's not overthinking yourself, and it's not downplaying. Do you know what I mean? So I think the way we see humility is sometimes in sport, and I think as a woman it's a lot different to a man, where you can be cocky and like say all of these things or exert a certain confidence that a lot of women aren't allowed to do that. Do you get me? Like, you're meant to be humble. You're meant to be kind of quiet. Like, I've tried to do celebrations on the pitch and people are looking at me like, what am I doing? Do you get me? So it's like, I think I kind of envy men in that sense, where to be able to compartmentalize your life in football, but be able to be who you are in football. And for me, my mind mess up a lot of my game because I'm an overthinker. Yeah. So I'm thinking about the other person. I'm thinking about myself. If I have a bad game, if I have a bad touch, I'm thinking about that. And everybody's like, oh, just next touch. Like, think about the next one. I'm like, no, like, I need to go back to minute 1, sort that out, and then we can chat about it. And I think that was one thing that kind of was a detriment to my game. Like, how did you kind of build that mental resilience, or was that just something that just came with your personality?
Maybe a bit of both. I think I've been told no a lot throughout my career. Like, although I've had a good career and I've done really well, I've still been told no a lot, and being told I'm not good enough. I played under managers that didn't really fancy me, and didn't think, and then I played under managers that thought I was the best player in the world. So I think going through them kind of ups and downs, you know yourself, football is more downs than ups. The ups are very rare, the downs are the majority of the time. So I think that like from having them kind of people, I always look at it as people against me. So when people are against me, I want to prove them wrong. So if I say I play on the wing, if I'm running at a defender and he tackles me and he wins the ball off me the first time, that doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to go get it again, and I'm going to run at you again, and I'm going to go get it again and run at you again. Because I know the one time that I get past you, I could make something happen. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I think as well as having the confidence to just go and keep on getting on the ball, I think that's the most important thing, especially now with how technical the game has gone. Like, you can't really get by.
For me, I was told yes for a lot of my career, and it was more kind of situations that told me no. So I don't think that there's ever been a team or a position that I haven't gotten into. Now it's different, but like before I got injuries and different life experiences, like it was all yes. And my first no was a big no. My first no was being told that I couldn't be on the Irish team because I had a Nigerian citizenship. So when I first started, I was the first like African born girl that gotten that far. So went to AUL, you know, like those treks from Waterford at that time. No motorway at that time either. All those black girls taking me like 4 hours to get there. And I'd been to like the final training, and remember walking into the dressing room being told like, just said to everyone, oh, going to England in 2 days or however, maybe it was next week or something. Does everybody have like all their passport information, everything good? And like, I knew enough as an immigrant child to know that I can't just go to England. So I didn't know what the technicalities were. I was like, there's nothing wrong with my passport, but like I need a visa because we've gone to Wales for a tournament before, and I knew that took some time to get. And they were like, all right. Halftime they called me in. They were just like, yeah, look, like you made it, but we can't take you. Like I remember bawling, crying the whole way back, drive back home to Waterford. So that being my first no, I didn't know how to deal with rejection. And I think that played on my mind for so many years, because after that, I wasn't really at the top of my game anymore. And I just let it, like I was just going out doing whatever until I moved to Cork actually. And I played for Cork City, lost 10-0 to Wexford, and I was like, yeah, I need to go to America, I can't do this. But I think it's really interesting, and like for young kids that are growing up right now, or young ballers, like what would you advise them in dealing with rejection and being able to manage their own emotions while playing football?
I think it's learning. It's kind of, you can never take anything in football personal. Like a lot of things in football, a lot of the times just it's about football. Now there's certain situations I've been in where I felt it's personal, and there can be situations like that. But I think being told no sometimes it can be tough, but you have to just kind of put it this, like I said to you, I played with managers that thought I was the worst player they've ever seen play, and then the next season I played with managers that thought I was the best player that they've ever seen. You just have to find. I got the best bit of advice I've ever got off a fella called Nicky Bailey. He was in the senior team at Middlesbrough when I was there at underage, and he said, find a manager that likes you and stick with him. He's like, and you'll have a great career. And he followed Tony Mowbray to about 3 different clubs, played in the Championship, League One till he was 35 or something like that. Had a great career.
Try not to take it personally though, when you try hard and you do all of these things, they just can't. Like I've had managers, like that's the same with me, like college, had a manager who signed me, loved me, and then she left, and then another manager came in, and I was useless to him. Like I was just like, bro, I'm the best person here. Like what are you on about? Like, but like, talk to me about your time in Middlesbrough. How did you get signed to that at such a young age? 16 I
went. I was, like I said, I've been playing for Ireland. I've been playing really well under 15s for Shelbourne, and just started getting a bit of talk about me, and I went on a couple of trials to Tottenham and Sunderland, and kind of like once 1 or 2 English teams kind of pick you up and bring you over on trial, all the other English teams kind of are like, right, well, we want to see why they want to look at him. So the first trial I ever went on was Tottenham, and obviously they were a huge club at the time.
Yeah.
They were playing Champions League every year. It was the season when they had like the likes of Gareth Bale on the team and stuff.
What's his name?
Aaron Lennon, like they had a great team, like, and so I ended up going over to Middlesbrough. And
do you feel you went off too early?
Yes and no. I think at the time there was no League of Ireland underage set up, so
there's no better option.
There was nothing better. I think they brought in the under-19 league maybe the year I came back. So before that there was nothing else really. Like if you didn't go at 16, the standard of the league dropped, and most of the good players would have gone by that stage. Like, but I went over, trained for a couple of days, and they actually offered me a contract before I even left. Like I think they offered me a contract after maybe 3 days or something like that.
Who was this, Tottenham?
No, Middlesbrough.
Oh, Middlesbrough, yeah.
And
how long was the contract for? A year?
It was a 2-year contract. And kind of me and my dad sat down, thought we had a couple of different offers from all the clubs really. And then there was a bit of difficulty with the fee and stuff. So it actually nearly fell through at one stage. And we actually went on holidays. We were going to France for 3 weeks. So we were actually on a ferry. We pulled off from Rosslare already, and I thought the deal was dead in the water. I thought it was done. Like, and I'd say we pulled off maybe 10 minutes. My dad got a call to say he needs to be in Middlesbrough in a week and a half. So I actually ended up flying from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris straight to Middlesbrough with literally a suitcase with some shorts and sandals in it, like, and I had to go to the north of England to the freezing cold.
Do you remember how that felt when your dad got the call?
Yeah, I was absolutely, because I was heartbroken because there was basically Shells weren't accepting the offer from.
There's a lot of that in Ireland. I don't get that, and it's really annoying because I've seen that happen with Waterford United why am I saying names? But Waterford United a couple of times with some kids, and it's why do they do that? Like,
I think because the English clubs don't value the player, the Irish players, so they try to offer such small money. Like, you know what I mean? Now it's changing a lot now. Like the clubs, especially League of Ireland clubs, they're in a great position to just turn down bad offers. And to be fair, Shells were doing the exact same. Like they were just looking after their own interest. It was because Tottenham were offering more money than Middlesbrough, but I wanted to sign for Middlesbrough. So
what was the difference? Why did you feel?
I just liked it more there. It felt more. People from the north of England it's really the same as being in Ireland. It's the same kind of environment and vibe, like the people are
opposed to London.
As opposed to London. Like I remember the first day I went into Tottenham, I walked into the building. I'd never been so scared in my life. I walked into the dressing room and there was a load of black fellas in there rapping drills, blaring it, and I was just this little 14-year-old white guy. And I think there was like maybe only 2 other white fellas in the dressing room as well. And I was just like, I'd never experienced anything like this.
How does it feel to be a minority?
It was strange. It was strange, like, but now all the lads were great, don't get me wrong, but it was just
it's not familiar. You walk into your room, you're from Ireland. At this stage, did you have much experience with other cultures?
Funny enough, one of my best mates was a Nigerian guy, called Nisi. He was living just down the road from me. He was one of my best mates. But other than that, we always say it like that time, but like when I was in school, there was maybe like, I think there was 2 black guys in my year. So
to go into a whole dressing room full of it, and you're going into, what part of London is Tottenham in? Like
west, is it? Or is it east?
North,
it's north.
So like, that's it's a massive culture shock.
Yeah, it's huge, like, and any capital city you go into, it's very fast paced. It's very like just everybody. And like when I went over there, because I'd gone over there 3 times, like by the second time I realized how cutthroat it is over there. Like everybody's out for themselves. Like the first day I got there, the passes I was getting off people was ridiculous. They were firing passes into me. like because you're there to come and take their place,
Yeah.
like, so they don't want you to take their place.
Yeah.
So they'll do everything, like I said, they'll fire pass at you, absolutely smash pass at you, and if you can't control it, they'll give out to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very cutthroat
Did you
environment.
feel scared?
Not when I walked on the pitch.
Yeah.
It
So that was a playing field, right?
was a bit weird. Like I said, I'd never kind of been away from home on my own. I was like in a hotel in North London. Like, I tried to go out a couple of times, just walk around and stuff like that, but it was just a weird environment.
Yeah.
But on the pitch, I felt
Safe.
fine.
Yeah.
I think my first game was against Arsenal, so it was like a derby
Yeah.
at their place at Coburn, and like I think we ended up winning 3-1 or something like that. And I came on the second half and got an assist. So after that, I was like, do you know what? I've just played against Arsenal for Tottenham. I'm comfortable at this level. Like I can play at this level. Like,
was that reassurance? For you?
That kind of gave me the confidence to be like, okay, I am a good player. Like,
so then, why did you choose Middlesbrough then? Because at the time, Tottenham was a better team. If you feel like you fit into a team like Tottenham, apart from the culture shock of it.
Yeah.
Why
I think it was. I felt really at home. They made me feel really wanted. They really wanted me. It was kind of as well. So they just got relegated into the Championship, and at the time, I think they were. Me and my dad obviously did research and everything like that, and they were the third highest team at bringing underage players into professional football.
Okay.
So I think the only team above them was Chelsea and Man United for bringing underage players into the first team or into a first team in a different first team.
So it's like the trajectory is different. Like, okay, cool, you might be playing for Tottenham, but realistically, as quick as you sign for Tottenham, you can quickly unsign for Tottenham, right?
Where like there we looked at it that it might be a bit easier to break into the first team there than it would be at Tottenham. Now looking back, maybe that was the wrong decision, because just how much, I think it's like 95% or something like that of kids from Ireland that go to England at 16 end up coming home. So I probably should have started at the top and then the fall down, like expected not to make it. And then the fall down maybe would have been to a Championship or a League One team, where when I left Middlesbrough in the Championship, it was like League Two teams and Conference Premier teams.
And the drop is massive at that stage. Huge. Like even at the different steps, like, you know, it's like step 1 step. Like there's the top of that league could be completely different to the bottom of that league.
Like when I left Middlesbrough, I went on trials with a couple of different clubs. So I went to Birmingham. My contract just came to an end, and they just never offered me a new deal. I broke my leg while I was there.
How many games into that was that for you? So like halfway through the season? So?
I had been there, was it? It was my first season, I broke it in my first season, towards the end of my first season. So I broke both the bones, my fibia and my tibia. I broke my ankle, I ruptured my syndesmosis, I tore my Achilles, and I did a couple of the bones in my foot. So it was like all in one tackle. It was a game, I was playing away to Everton, a reserve game away to Everton.
Talk me through that.
So we travelled down there, and I was playing up. So I was still only 16.
No, talk me through the injury for you. So you go, you play, you're having a great time, loving Middlesbrough. Yeah. You break your leg. Yeah. What's going through your mind?
We didn't think it was as bad at the start, and then when I went and got the scans and found out how bad it actually was, like, they were like, you're going to be out for like maybe up to 9 months, like, and so it was the end of my first year. So I'd only just broken into the team really after coming, and then to find out I was going to be done till probably like around the January time of next year, I was kind of just like.
Did you fear never playing again? Were you able at that age to understand what recovery looks like? Yeah, like over there they're unbelievable, like in terms of just full-time care. I've seen the best ankle specialists in the UK and stuff, so it was, in that sense, they really made me aware. Like the doctor said to me, the specialist said that I might never recover the full range of movement in my ankle. He was like,
you could have problems down the line, and stuff like that. But like as long as you kind of take the right steps and the right rehab, like you should be able to get back. So I ended up coming back quite strong, to be fair.
Yeah, that's good. It's always quite interesting to hear people's stories with injuries. Like certain people will take it as something that needs to be done regardless.
Yeah.
Other people will kind of be like, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. That's me. I'm a dramatic person. That's what I do. But then since then, you've had a couple more long-term injuries.
Yeah.
Your mindset having to deal with that first one versus your last one, which was your MCL, about a year ago?
No, my MCL was probably like 6 months ago now.
So what's your mindset like going from one like long-term injury to long-term injury to long-term injury? Is that something that you get stronger, or at any point do you just get sick of it?
There was times like I actually ended up doing, within a year of coming back from the first injury, I did the exact same injury to my right leg. So broke the fibula, broke the tibia, ruptured syndesmosis, broke the ankle, tore the Achilles. But this time I actually had a contract offer on the table from Oxford, who were in League 2 at the time, in January, and I did it in November, and it was literally I'd come back after not signing for Middlesbrough. So I'd come back to Ireland in the November because I'd gone on a couple of trials. Being at Oxford, they'd wanted me to sign, but they couldn't do it till the January window. So they were like, look, just go back to Ireland, keep fit, keep training and stuff like that, and then come back over in January and we'll get the deal done. And when my old Shell's manager found out that I was back in Ireland, he rang me up and he was like, why don't you just come in and train with us? He was the under-19s manager. He was like, just train with us, keep yourself fit, whatever. Train with them for a couple of weeks, and then I think they'd had a couple of injuries and stuff, so he was like, why don't you just sign an amateur contract, like a registration form, and you can play a couple of games. And because I think this was at the end of November at the time, and he was like, and then by the time you go over in January, he was like, you'll be match fit, you'll be raring to go, you'll be straight in. So I spoke out with my dad, spoke out with Oxford. They said it would be a good idea, so I ended up doing it. And then I think it was the second game I played for them.
You don't really last very long, do you?
No. Second game I played, did the whole thing, and I remember sitting in Talca Park under the stand, and like I knew straight away. I was like, I've done it, same thing again. And my mum and dad obviously came into the room with the doctors, and they were like, oh, it might be okay, you never know. And I was like, no, I know I've done it again. And I was I just screamed at everybody, like, just because everybody, like, you know, when you do an injury, like, everyone's like, oh, you okay?
Tiptoe around you, like, just shut up, like.
Yeah, I was just like, please, everybody just get out, like, because I'm in pain anyway, like, so I just need to have.
How old were you at this stage?
I was 19. So I'd done my first one
16.
just before my 17th birthday, and then I did my second one basically like a year and a half later, I think.
What did all of that teach you?
That I love football,
probably,
because for the next year I didn't play, I didn't have a club. It took me probably about 12 months to recover from that one. I was out of football, didn't have a club. My uncle owns a gym, so I was going there cycling from Swords to Artane every day.
Jeez.
To go to the gym, and I spent the whole day in the gym doing rehab, and then I'd cycle home. And that was what my day consisted of for like probably around 6 or 7 months, I'd say.
What's your support system like with regards to that? Because I mean, I tore my ACL when like my end of my first year at Oakland, and I felt like as much as everybody was there for me, didn't feel like everybody was there for me. Because it's still me, right? Like nobody can carry me to the gym, nobody can straighten my knee, nobody can take all this swelling and scar tissue out. Like how does your support system support you during these times?
I think like if I had been over in England when I did my second one, I don't think I would have been able to deal with it as much. Like I think being around my family and stuff and having that kind of system there. Now don't get me wrong, like I for a while, because of the last kind of 2 or 3 years and I felt like everything had been kind of going against me, and I'd had like setback after setback after setback. I kind of turned into a very angry, like very snappy person for a while, and like my family, my mom and dad and my brother kind of really put up with me, like kind of really understood kind of what I was going through and stuff. But like as you get older, you mature and you go through things, like you kind of learn more how to deal with it. So I just kind of thought to myself, like, this is what I want to do. I'm still young, like I've had 2 really bad injuries, but I'm still young. I can afford to
come back.
I can not even that, like I can afford to kind of go through not having money and working towards things, because like at that time I was like 19, 20, all my friends were working, all of them were like going out and going to things and stuff like this, and I'm being honest, I didn't have a tap. I think I was getting maybe €100 on the dole. All that was going towards food and football and buses to the gym when I was just too in bits to cycle and stuff like this. Like, so
you mentioned 95% of players, Irish players who go to England, come back. A lot of them come back and don't actually do as well. Did you ever feel like you were going to be part of that statistic?
At times, like that year out where I wasn't playing really affected me, because I was not able to do what I wanted to do. And when you know yourself, when you're coming back from a really bad injury, like the first step is actually getting back into full training, and then after that it's actually trying to get back into the run of things and getting your legs working again and getting your head, like your mind sharp again, match sharp. Like, so that's another step that like is really can mentally affect your performance as well, like that. So I think when I came back, like I said, I've always been confident, always been really self-assured, and I knew I was a good player. Like, I just knew I needed the opportunity to do it. And I ended up doing the FOSS course in Irishtown. That I got told about that by another fella that had come home from England, from Newcastle, called Lee Desmond. I played with him underage, and he told me about it. So I went and did that, and like that, I think if I hadn't had that, I don't know what I would have done.
Shaky.
Because obviously League of Ireland managers will come and watch them games, because there's a lot of young players that they could maybe pick up.
Also, very little places in Ireland are you training 5 days a week.
Very little. Even some of the professional teams in the League of Ireland don't do that. So that really helped me and built my confidence back up.
That's good. And
that's how I actually got back into League of Ireland, because the Shelbourne manager, Kevin Doherty, was there watching the player. He'd actually already signed, watching him play a match, and then he'd see me play, and then he said, invite me to train, and then the rest
That's
is
great.
history.
Let's kind of uplift this, because it's kind of been dead, right? So obviously I don't want to get emotional anymore, right? So obviously you went through those things, and I'm really inspired by your kind of confidence in yourself and kind of your tunnel vision, in the sense of wanting something and continuing going regardless of the obstacles that have come your way. So obviously now you're playing for Cork City, one of probably top 4 teams in the country. Like
I have to say top 2 in case.
Alright, cool. Top 2, not 2. But like, in the sense of that, like obviously it seems like they love you. Like like the fan base obviously in Cork are very involved. Like even when I played with the girls, and the girls at the time weren't doing as great, like the fan base in Cork is next level. Like, how does that make you feel? Like you're back playing, getting time under you. Like, how is that feeling for you?
Good. Like I can't speak more highly of Cork and the fans, and just the atmosphere in the city is brilliant. Like, they really get behind the team, and like after the game there yesterday, like you're coming out and there's 50-60 kids wanting pictures, they're wanting autographs, and the next morning you go for a coffee and someone will stop you and they'll be like, oh, great result last night, or he's played really well, or if you played bad, they'll let you know you played bad.
How do you manage that? Does that feel like fame to you?
I don't know, like down there, like like I said, like the club is such a huge club that like you will, like if you're walking around the city centre, you will get stopped, like and you will get noticed. People kind of will know who you are. So like obviously it is really nice, and I do try to as best I can give time to anybody that stops me and wants to have a chat and stuff like that. But obviously it just means as well that like you're under watch all the time. You can't get away with anything, like, because there's eyes everywhere. And they always seem to get back to the gaffer, so you
have to keep a tight ship. But
with
regards to your experiences in the UK versus Ireland and where Ireland is right now, like what are your thoughts? Like what's next for you, right? Is it are you gonna try be a legend in the League of Ireland? Are you trying to go back over? Is being pro like something that is still on your mind?
I think up to a couple of years ago, I did still want to kind of. There's always that you want to go to England. For me, back to England, because that's where the money is. Like, you know what I mean. But I think since I've kind of got involved with music and stuff like that, and like can see that as another avenue that I can go down and pursue. I think it's really made me kind of just fall back in love with just playing football and not worrying about what's next or what's the next contract or what am I going to do or stuff. So now I'm just playing football because I love playing football, and don't get me wrong, I still want to win all the time. I still have ambitions to be the best I can be and play as well as I can.
But like it becomes a career, right? And sometimes it's not fun.
Yeah. And
I feel for me, like in the last year where I haven't been able to play football, I started playing with lads here and there, just started like being around, and it's like it's not only till I felt like, yo, I love this. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to play, and maybe I don't think I'm gonna get that international cap. I don't think I'm gonna get that professional contract that I wanted to. But I've had such diverse experiences in the last year. I never had those. I was never able to go on holiday. I wasn't able to eat certain food, or like my relationships suffered because of football. And it's like I've been able to do so many things that I was never able to do the regular 20-whatever-year-old girl would have done, you know? And it almost feels like, yes, okay, I tried my best at this one thing. And even though I was grieving all of those experiences that I wish I had, like all of my friends are pro, my friends are playing for Ireland, my friends are playing in America, like that's great. But like, do I want to be in another random country by myself, like again, like having to not miss out on birthdays, miss out on all of these things? Like, is that actually what I want right now? And I think once you see a bit of clarity, like obviously it's great to want those things, but I kind of felt like maybe all of these things stopping me from getting there was good for me. Yeah. Right? Like I remember the type of person I was at 15. Like you can imagine a power hungry child who has never been said no to. Yeah. And the first time I'm being told no, my life spiraled at 15. Yeah. Like that's not okay, you know? And it's like trying to like manage like your life where it's like, this is the one thing that I want to do. Everybody's telling me that I'm good at this. I'm Nesser the athlete. Like if you go to Tremor, that's what anybody knows me for. Yeah. That's why I'm who I am, you know? But having to take a step back and be like, I can do other things once I'm not doing football. Yeah. Like I'm me, football is part of me. Like it's not the only thing that is there for me. And I think I've learned a lot about that. And you know, like if I'm capable and able to go back pro, I think it would be great. But I think if it doesn't happen, I don't risk the feeling of everything is taken away from me. And that was probably the scariest part of the last year for me, was trying to figure out who am I without this sport? Like, am I important? Do people care about what I do? Do people care about me? Like the majority of friends I've made is through football. It's weird. You know? Like I like even now I could post a picture of me from however many years ago playing football and I get more likes than I do anything else that I do. That's all people wanted to see from me, you know? And I internalized that. I made that who I was. And it's good. Sometimes like I was talking to Sinead, like you have to be a bit delusional to get to where you want to be. Yeah. But in being delusional in this thing, I'm also delusional in my everyday life. Yeah. And sometimes I don't need to be delusional in my everyday life. I could just be a random person, you know? And there's almost some sort of beauty when you find out that when everybody was telling me, oh, there's more to football, and I'm like, yeah, that's because you're just shit, you know? Yeah. Actually, you think there's more to football because you have to have a backup plan. Like, I don't need a backup plan, you know? And I think it's like, it's quite inspirational to see people like you, like, wanting to love the sport and play at the highest level, and wherever it gets you, it gets you. Yeah. But in that time where you were injured and you said that you picked up the music, you picked up DJing, do you think that's actually what really saved you in the sense of going back to football? I think massively.
like I said, like I would have been kind of like you, even up to a couple of years ago. Like football kind of controlled everything that I did. It controlled my emotions. It controlled how I felt over a weekend if I didn't play well, or if we lost the game on a Friday night. And since I've always had a love of music, like I got it from my dad. My dad has a huge music collection. I've grown up listening to everything from Queen to Marvin Gaye to Al Green to Johnny Cash to every single type of genre of music. I've grown up on that, so I've always had a love of music. And I think I actually got into the DJing because I remember I was sitting there one day and I was like, okay, I'm 20, I think I was about 24, 25 when I started teaching myself how to DJ. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, if I get another bad injury, that's me done.
Yeah.
Like, I won't be able to recover from it. And I was like, what am I going to do after football? And I was like, I don't want to get just a normal job. Like, I want to still have the kind of like freedom football gives me, while still having fun and kind of making money and stuff. So I was thinking the next best thing that I love is music. And I can't sing, and I've tried my hand at playing guitar and piano, and I can play bits and bobs, but I just know I'm never gonna be good. And I was like, I think I was scrolling through YouTube and I seen a Boiler Room that Jazzy Jeff played in Philadelphia in like 2013 or something like this, and I watched that whole thing. It was like an hour 45 minutes. I sat there, watched the entire thing, and I was like, this is what I want to do. Yeah, I was like, this is what I want to do. I was like, the whole vibe and like just making people happy and making people move, and
you control the dance, like you control the night out.
And I think the thing about him was that really stuck with me, and what I try to do in every single set I play, every mix I put out, every gig I play, is he went on a journey. The hour 45 he went through every genre, pretty much, went old school, new school, and I was like, that's the type of DJ I want to be, that's the type of music I want to play. And I think that night I bought myself a pair of decks, some speakers, and the rest is history. I kind of sat in my room. My mum and dad put up with me for about a year, I'd say, of the worst mixes, the worst music playing ever. Until I finally got decent enough that I could start kind of like putting stuff out there for people to listen to. Like,
what's your favorite genre of music?
I'm a lover boy at heart, like, so I'm gonna say R&B, like old school R&B, like I just
Dancing in the Rain, Tearing T-shirt, one of them ones.
One of them, like the more painful and heartbreaking.
I'm Screaming.
I hear it. Is better for me.
Yeah, you're dramatic.
But
so how do you? Sorry, carry on.
But like other than that, like I said, I just love every type of genre. Apart from EDM, like I just don't think that's music. That's just
fair enough. But like, so how does DJing work then, in the sense of you start mixing and stuff? How did you start finding yourself at gigs? How did you start getting paid for your craft?
So over lockdown, obviously, there was nothing else to do. So I just started, like, I'd put out maybe one or two mixes before, and just kind of like my friends kind of seeing them and stuff like that. And then I think I put a video up on YouTube, or not on YouTube, sorry, on Instagram, of me mixing some Afro beats. And now I've listened to Afro beats and kind of dancehall and bashment for years. Like a lot of my friends in England growing up, like, would have been Nigerian and Jamaican heritage, like, so I kind of grew up going out to clubs and listening to that kind of music. And Frank Jez actually somehow seen the video and shared it onto his Snapchat story and onto his Instagram story, and that Instagram kind of blew up. And then I had like loads of DJs following me, loads of people added me. And then like Frank was just like, this is sick, like I've not seen a DJ, a white
I was gonna say,
DJ,
do you feel like you have white man tax? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do. I think like I do definitely notice it, because a lot of parties I would play would be predominantly, well, the music I play predominantly black people in Ireland, you can't really listen to it if you go to a club on a Saturday night. So obviously that's the kind of events that they will all go to, that they put on. And look, I do notice the looks when like people are dancing to music and then they look up and
that's, I don't know if you saw me,
like,
but I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah, and people are like, like why, how, and stuff.
Once again, how does it feel to be a minority in that sense? But that's a difference, right? So in the sense of when you walked into the dressing room at Tottenham, that's a fearful, unfamiliar, right? But you're at a dance, you're at a club, L2P, let's say, in Dublin, and everybody's looking at you, but it's not, it's a he's white, but in a good way. Yeah. Unless you start fucking up the music, then we're like, get this guy out here. But that's not what the case was. It's like, he's white, but in a good way. So those are two different scenarios where you're the minority. Yeah. But the feelings are different.
I think I'm one of them people that like I can walk into most rooms and feel like very comfortable. And I think like I would be, out of all my friends in England, I'd say like there's a group of like maybe about 8 or 9 of us, and like I will say like I am the only white guy in that in my friend group in England. So I kind of grew up just kind of being around that all the time. And it kind of obviously transferred into the music that I like to listen to, and then like a lot of the connections I've kind of made through playing music, because I don't really play music that white people
would expect you
to, like in Ireland anyway. I think a lot of the black community kind of like respect it more, because they're like, this guy is going out and playing the music that we like and we want to listen to, and he's doing it relatively well, if I'm going to say.
What's the perception from your white friends, from your white counterparts on you, what you do right now, and being in those spaces?
I get a lot of "you wish you were black." I get them shouts a lot, or "you want to be black" or whatever like this.
How does that make you feel?
I don't agree with it. Like, I've always been myself. Regardless of like what I've done or like how I dress, what I like to do, I've always been very kind of like an individual. So like I wouldn't agree with that. I just always say like it's the music I listen to every day.
Do you feel like you have to prove yourself more to white people than you do black people?
I think especially the last year, I think I always see DJs saying stuff and they're like, oh, the DJ community is very cliquey and stuff like that. I've not had one bad experience to anything that I've ever done in Ireland with any of the events I've done. And I've done events for DJ Wax, I've done stuff for Frank, Kenzo and Daryl, I've done stuff for them. Like I've done stuff for Scorpio. Like I've met all these people, Danzy. I've met all these people, and they couldn't be more welcoming and more kind of like wanting to bring you in and like wanting to help you out and whatever like that. So like on the other hand, like I've approached different clubs, like say like down in Cork, just being like I'm a DJ. I want to do a night, like I'd love for you to kind of like take me into consideration, like if you ever have an opening, let me know and stuff like that. And it's very just like, we might get back to you kind of way and stuff. And like they'd be like, oh, what do you play? And I'll play a bit of everything, R&B, rap, whatever. Oh we'll be in touch.
I was like, we don't want to hear that.
Yeah. So it's like very much like I feel more welcomed in them kind of scenarios and events that I've been playing the last kind of year and a half, 2 years.
Why do you feel like that is?
I don't know. I think like, especially when you're around creative people, it's just, you always feel like you're in a better environment when you're around like-minded people that want to create things and do well. Like I've met everybody from videographers to sound engineers to photographers to DJs to artists to artist managers, all going to these events and stuff like that. And it's just so good to be around like-minded people who just love music, want to have a good time, want to party.
Like-minded people tend to value diversity a bit more though as well, right? Than others, I'd say.
Yeah, they're like, and like even like L2P, like I actually don't really know a lot of the people that like go there. I've played that like maybe 3 times now, where like kind of like the other events I play, I kind of would know a lot of the people going or a lot of people there, but I actually don't really know anybody.
Yeah.
So like even after I come off and wax goes on, like I do try to stay around and like just like obviously support wax like for community opportunity. So I'm always wanting to have a good time and party.
Yeah.
And
it's a bit cliquey though, like not in a bad way, but it's kind of, those are a bit smaller events, so it tends to be the same type of people, which is normal, and it's a good event. So
yeah, but like I'll be chilling. Like I don't mind. I can chill and do my own thing and enjoy events, enjoy a night anyway. So like,
what's your favorite experience ever?
There's been a few. I think playing for Ireland for the first time.
Yeah.
Standing there when the national anthem's playing, like before a game, I think that was unbelievable. There's been a few. I met Gareth Bale when I was at Tottenham after they beat Inter Milan that game. Yeah. When he scored a hat trick, I seen him the day after that when they flew back to the training grounds. Yeah. That was mental. Like, cause I remember I was eating breakfast in the morning, watching Sky News like in the canteen, and they were showing the goals, and then he walked in the door, and I was like, this is a bit mad. Like,
I saw you on my TV last night.
I know, like it was really really strange. And then just kind of like there's been like little bits and bobs, like getting nominated for the League Player of the Year. That was great. That was great for the League of Ireland. I was nominated for PFAI Player of the Year. I didn't win it, but just to be nominated was great.
A lot of players like.
And I think like I've been in the team of the year like about 3 or 4 times as well. So like all stuff like that has been really really great. But I think the best one like had to be under 17's European Championship or Ireland. Like just standing there like knowing
this is it.
Yeah, like that you're playing. And funny enough, Jack Grealish was actually in that team.
Oh, nice.
So me and Jack used to play on the left, and I used to play on the right for Ireland. So you've
been around some good players, right?
Yeah, some very very good players.
Yeah. Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
To just be like,
even to see how well he's doing, like I don't think I've spoken to him in about 5 years or so. But like just to see how well he's doing, like it's just ridiculous. Like it's
amazing. But yeah, what's next for you? What are you excited for next?
At the moment we're 8 points clear at the top of the table. So hopefully if everything goes to plan and we keep winning games, I'll have a league winners medal around my neck.
Yeah. Will that be your first time winning the league?
That'll be my first ever. Yeah. That'll actually be my first ever anything.
Oh, genius.
In football. Yeah. So that'll be great. The off season I'm looking forward to. I have a couple of plans, music wise, events wise for November, December. I'm in the kind of middle of setting up my own little thing. So hopefully that goes to plan, and then just same again the next year. Yeah, same again the next year. Am I going on holiday or something? I don't know. Yeah,
that's it. I'm really excited to see what you get done. It was nice. It's really nice meeting you. It's really refreshing, to speak to someone like you in the sense that I can relate to you football wise and I can relate to you creative wise, right? And it's interesting seeing kind of a white person's point of view on this, because a lot of people who sit across from me are black, but I started this to give black voices a platform in the sense that that's what I care about the most as a black person. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, there are different people in different scenes that I am really interested in. It's not a separation thing. It's kind of like whoever's interesting is interesting, but at the core, there's obviously less eyes on that scene and stuff. But regardless of that, like regardless of color, regardless of gender and all of those things, like I really wish you the best in the sense of that. You seem like a lovely lad, and like hopefully football is somewhat smooth sailing from here on out, and we'll see you at a couple of events. This is a good chat.
Cheers.
Yeah, lovely. Good done.